Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at a knife that I've found to be very interesting, the Sencut knives Acumen. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Let's measure up this blade. They say this is a 2.9 inch blade, and yeah, I'd say it's more like 2.999 inches. Focus camera. As you can see, it is under 3 inches, but only just. So, if the 3-inch mark is an important legal factor for you or something, this one's kind of walking the line, but it is technically under 3 inches. Although I'm sure if someone really wants to throw you in the slammer, they could measure it to be over 3 inches. Yeah, if they go down to there, yeah, they could definitely measure it to be over 3 inches, but whatever. We'll call it a sub 3-inch knife. Let's get into our size comparisons. I think this is absolutely a medium-sized knife. So here's the Ontario Rat 1. Let's move these forward, and pivot to pivot. And the Rat 2. So as you can see, it's Rat 2 size. However, the Rat 2 I consider to be on the larger side of small knives. And the Acumen I consider to be a medium knife, maybe on the smaller side of medium. Even though they're similar in length. And the reason I think that is because this is a pretty broad knife. The blade is nice and tall, and it gives it a more commanding presence than a small knife. Here's the Benchmade bug out and the PM2. There we go. So as you can see, it's definitely shorter than the bug out, but it has more presence. So I hope you guys get what I'm saying. I hope I'm not just sounding like an idiot. Next, let's grab our Civivis. Here's the Praxis. Or the Elementum. That's the Elementum, Gideon. Gosh. That is the Elementum, guys. This one is the Praxis. Woohoo! There we go. So, pretty similar in overall length to the Elementum. In fact, I think they're probably identical in length. Pretty close, at least. Put the Elementum away. And the blade, as far as its width, pretty close to the Praxis. So yeah, it's a wide blade. And to close off these size comparisons, because I know we've been going way too long, let's grab some Sencuts. So first off, Sencut Scepter. Very similar in overall length, but again, the Acumen is a big chunky boy. And here's the Episode, one of my favorites. In fact, probably my favorite Sencut right now. Pull these up. There we go. All right, awesome. With all that out of the way, finally, let's go ahead and talk about materials. So, what are we looking at here? Well, first of all, we have this big drop point. I guess you might be able to call it a leaf. Well, is it a spear point? Let's see if that tip is in line with the pivot. You know what? If you wanted to call this a broad spear point, I would not argue with you. It's pretty similar to a spear point. Yeah, okay. Drop point, spear point, leaf-shaped blade, whatever you want to call it, I'll buy it. Absolutely. Yeah. G10 scales. Oh, and the blade is 9CR18, if I didn't say that already. Sorry, I was looking over at my computer at my notes real quick. Distracting myself. 9CR18 MOV. Whoops, upside down. There we go. G10 scales. This is the Burgundy G10, which is pretty nice. Steel pod clip, steel liners, ceramic ball bearings. All the bells and whistles that you'd expect from a Civivi. I mean, Sencut. But, yeah, and the name, the Acumen, means the ability to make good judgments. So, yeah, would it be a good judgment to buy this knife? I don't know. Stick around and find out. Let's go ahead and go do some cutting, shall we? All right, let's get into it with the Sencut Acumen? Acumen? This knife here. Yeah. So I just got this knife earlier, well, yesterday.
going to say earlier this week, but it was just yesterday, so there we go. And I decided to go ahead and do my cutting footage right now. Usually when I do the cutting footage, it's after I've carried the knife for a while, and that leads to, I don't know, because by the time I do the cutting footage, the knife is either a little duller than it was out of the box, or it's sharper because I've put my own edge on it. So I'm not sure how you guys want to see it. Let me know in the comments below, but for this video, we're going to do it right out of the box instead of slightly used or with my edge on it. But yeah, here's the knife. Cool knife. Real cool knife. From Sencut. Yeah, let's go ahead and just get started. How's that action? Pretty good drop. Very good reverse flick, and it makes this nice little ting sometimes. I'm not sure if it's coming over. I hope you guys can hear that, because this knife sounds awesome. Also, excuse my little thing on my face. I'm sorry. Thumb flick is okay. I messed it up that time because I'm an idiot. You can get it. The reason I messed it up, though, was because if you try getting at the top of the hole, which is how I typically thumb flick blade holes, and you push up, you run into this. So I'll show that better at the table when we do the review, but yeah, it means that you run into it. However, if you go off to the side, it works. And then if you just want to grab it a little bit lower in the hole, it works. It's not my preferred way, but it works. The flipper tab works good. Ooh, there was that ting. I hope you guys can hear that, because it sounds really good. Anyways, there we go. Flipper tab works fine. The detent is a little bit light because you want to be able to reverse flick it easily. But the flipper tab is shaped well and is positioned fairly nicely. You can see there it has the steel marking on the flipper tab. So you do get good leverage in there. The steel is 9CR18 MOV, by the way. We'll talk about that when we do the cutting. How are the ergos? Weird. The ergos are actually really weird. As you can see here, not neutral at all. You have this huge choil here. And this knife is what I would call a medium knife. The blade is under 3 inches, about 2.9, so technically under 3 inches. But it's a tall blade, so the knife does feel more medium sized. Again, ergos are something that I'll talk about more after I've used the knife more, but they're interesting. Like right here is okay. I feel like I'm a little bit far from the edge. That's not too bad. I do wish there's jimping up here, but again, not too bad. However, this little, I'm not flipping you guys off, I promise. This little spiky part right here just gets me right in that finger. And then if I adjust so that it's not doing that, the pocket clip gets me right in the soft part of my hand. And so that's not good. So if I adjust to where the pocket clip isn't a problem, where I have more of my hand on the knife, my bird finger is getting poked. If I adjust to where it's not getting poked, pocket clip is causing problems. Just point this out of your pocket. Just make some quick EDC cuts, opening a package or something. That's probably not going to matter that much, but if you're really working with a knife, I would definitely recommend using gloves because I can tell that that spot and the clip are going to be big hot spots. So, be warned. And the clip is also that it's really tall and pokey, and just don't like this clip from Sencut, Civivi, whatever. But yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and talk about how it carries, and then we'll do some cutting like we always do. All right. So the pocket clip, while it can be a little bit of a mess in the hand, in the pocket, it's not too bad. It is a deep carry clip, goes in all the way, comes out. The knife itself is pretty small. You can get your hand in there pretty good. Doesn't take up too much room. Not super heavy, not super fat. Pretty average carry, I would say. The clip is reversible, which is good. The screws are flat, which is awesome. Clip itself is not recessed, if you can see that. But that's kind of to be expected from Sencut Civivi. Not saying I like it, but it just is what it is. So carry is pretty good. I don't have really any complaints with the carry. Okay, let's go ahead and do some slicing, shall we? Let's grab some cardboard. I have not taken a behind the edge thickness measurement on this guy because my calipers are broken, because they suck. But it's pretty thin. I can already tell you that it's very thin behind the edge. You can look at that tip. Nice and thin. It does slice good. I can definitely feel myself being pushed back away from the blade a little more than I want. I'm losing a little bit of leverage in some of my cuts, but not a huge deal, honestly. Not a huge deal. Okay. Wipes off some of that residue. Let's go ahead and grab the rope here. Do a little bit of a pull through. Okay, that was all right. That was all right. Let's tilt down to the crotch cam on my short little table here. Man, my back hurts. You know what? Maybe we'll just get down like this. Get on my knees for the video. There we go. So let's do a push. If the sun's not blocking everything. Okay. 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 All right, so the first push went through pretty good. Second one and third one, not so much. But that's kind of to be expected. Super thin blades don't typically push through this stuff that hard or that well. Usually heavier, stouter blades make it through this. But, you know, as far as a thin, slicey blade goes, it's pretty much average. All right, let's cut the pool noodle. Again, this is testing the, you know, we'll really feel how well done the grind is. We'll feel how the geometry works. If it's bad geometry, I'll get hung up. Let's see. And also my knee hurts. So let's see how thin we can go. Woo! All right. Yeah, I figured it'd do pretty good here. Some nice thin lifesavers from the Sencut Acumen. Acumen? Acumen? I feel like I've seen that word before. Like in some kind of... I feel like I've seen it in like a Greek myth or something, but I can't remember. Anyways, let's head back to the table and we will discuss this knife further.
Hey guys, it's Gideon here, your favorite idiot. I completely forgot to talk about the disassembly of this knife, which I did. It has a couple more negatives I can add, but they're not really huge. The first thing is that the pivot is free spinning, but it is tooled on both sides, so you can fix that. And if you twist it from one direction, if you twist it from this side, the clip side, or the lock side, since you can swap the clip over, if you twist it from the lock side, it does work for some reason, so that's nice. And then this screw here is free spinning once you take out this screw, so if you're swapping the clip, that could be an issue. I'm going to go ahead and throw up some pictures of the disassembly, or a picture. I'm not sure how many I took, but yeah, there's what it looks like inside, all its guts. And yeah, so sorry, I forgot to mention that, but just keep that in mind. It doesn't really change my overall opinion on the knife, so yeah. Alright, Sencut Acumen. Let's get into what I'm liking, what I'm not liking. So first of all, I think this is a good looking knife. Yeah, when I first saw this, I was immediately attracted to it. I also like the colors that it's offered in, that, you know, kind of goes with looks. We'll talk about that real quick. There's a lot of different versions of this knife. You have an all blacked out version. You have this version, obviously. You have a jade G10 version, and you have a purple G10 version. They all come with a black blade, and I think they all look pretty darn good. In fact, I might have to snag myself a purple one. Yeah, so I think it's a good looking knife. Love this drop point, spear point, big broad blade. The handle looks good. It's a very, very good looking knife. So that's really, really cool. Next thing, it carries well. Not a super heavy knife. The clip works well in and out of the pocket. And it's a reversible clip, which is always nice to see. It tucks away fairly decently, so I like to see that. Next thing, the action is good. You have this hole, works very good for a flick. The flipper tab is positioned okay. See that here? It's basically in line with the pivot. I prefer it, I would have liked it better if it was up a little bit, but push button, it works, and light switch, it works. The detent is a little bit lighter, but you know, you need to be able to reverse flick it, thumb flick it, which you can do. So yeah, the drop, pretty smooth. There we go. Yeah, so action, nothing to complain about. I wouldn't say it's like anything that's new or amazing. There's a few things they could have done to improve the action, but it's a good action. It's fantastic. Well, not fantastic. I just said it wasn't amazing. It's a good action. It's perfectly functional. Good action, not going to blow your socks off, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Moving on before I confuse anyone. T8 hardware all the way around. It's always nice to see. Like that. The cutting performance is very good. You have this full flat grind, so you know the slices are going to be good. Comes down to a very nice thin edge. This thing's like 13 thousandths behind the edge. Very, very nice. Love to see that. Absolutely. Open pillar construction is always nice. That's something I don't always comment on, oddly enough. I love backspacers. I really do. I think backspacers are just super cool. But flow-through construction definitely has its upsides. You know, it's easier to clean out. You're not going to get gunk and stuff caught in there very easily. So, you know, there's definitely something to be said for flow-through construction. So that's nice. The blade being 9CR18 MOV is pretty cool. I like that steel quite a bit. I don't have any problems with it. And especially on a knife like this, that's really nice. The technically under 3-inch blade length is going to be good for some people. That makes this knife a very carryable knife in a lot of places. Again, maybe if someone really hates you, they could measure it to be over 3 inches, but it's technically under 3 inches, so you know your laws better than I do. I'm not a lawyer, so you know, don't take everything I say as gospel or law, especially. But yeah, pretty cool. And honestly, that's really all the good there is. It looks nice. The blade is a performer for sure. Easy to carry, legal length, and action is good. The bad side, what am I not liking so much? We're going to talk about something that's kind of like not bad but not good either, and that's the ergos. They're confusing to me because sometimes I pull this knife out of my pocket and I was like, oh yeah, that's comfortable right there. I'm ready to cut. But I found that when I was in a comfortable grip, you are quite a ways away from the edge. So, you know, that could be, if you're breaking down lots and lots of cardboard, that could be a little bit of an issue, but, you know, maybe not. Other times, though, I'd grab this knife out of my pocket, and I don't know. You can see this little point here just kind of stabs into my finger there. And that's not super comfortable. Like, if I'm going to be bearing down on this knife, that's not super comfortable. If I choke back to where that's not a problem, I bury the pocket clip in the soft part of my hand, and then that becomes a problem. And so, there's like a sweet spot. Like one sweet spot right there where everything kind of fits, but, you know, you are kind of far from the edge. So the ergos I'm going to put as not good or bad. There's going to be kind of a wash. This handle is not neutral. At this point here, I'd probably get rid of that, honestly. But I do think this is going to come down to hand size, or more specifically, the shape of your hand. Because honestly, I think if someone had like huge hands, this might be a fairly comfortable 3-finger knife. You know, if you have just one huge finger that completely takes up this choil, and your other 2 fingers, you know, kind of wrap around there, and then this finger hangs off the back. I think that would be a very comfortable 3-finger grip. For me, who has hands that are kind of like smallish medium, if I get all my fingers on there, you know, since my index finger doesn't take up this whole groove, the spike is kind of poking this finger. And then if I choke back to where that's not a problem, the pocket clip is a problem. So I think that ergos are going to vary wildly between people. And it's kind of a shame that these are only available on Amazon. That's one of the downsides of online shopping, right? You buy the knife and, you know, you have no chance to test out the ergonomics, the action, see if it's what you're looking for. On the bright side, this isn't a very expensive knife, so you're not going to be out a whole lot, and you can always just flip it and sell it. But, you know, that's not negative on this knife. That's kind of a tangent, but, you know, online knife shopping sometimes isn't the most convenient. In fact, I would argue that rarely is. Knives are something that you really kind of have to be, I mean, they're tools. You want them to fit your hands, so you want to be there to hold it at the shop before you buy it, right? I'm getting distracted, but just my thoughts. Moving on. Next thing, access to the liner is not amazing. In fact, it's not very good at all, which is something that Civivi/Sencut has been kind of messing up on recently, especially with the Sencut Snap that I reviewed a while ago. Yeah, access to the liner, it's not as bad as on the Snap. I mean, you can get to it. I think part of that is because this big... the reason the access to the liner is not good is because of this big groove. You know, like cut that in equally. But the reason this is a little bit easier to get to than on the Snap is also because of that big groove, because your thumb can go all the way in there and then find it. You know, it's not amazing, but it's, you know, it's definitely a negative. I prefer better access to my liner. Next, I mean, I'm going to complain about it. I just don't really like this clip very much. It works good in and out of the pocket. In the hand, it can be a little bit of a nuisance. I'd rather not have to deal with that, you know? Another thing that I don't really like is this pill-shaped hole works excellent for the reverse flick. Excellent. But for the thumb flick, it takes a little bit of a learning curve. You can still do it, and it's still easy once you get the hang of it, but it does take a little bit of you getting used to it. So how I like to do thumb holes is go up to the top and then push up, like on this PM2. I'm at the top of the hole, push up, and there it comes flying out. Wow, excuse the noise in the background if you can hear that. My roommate, I'll try and edit that out or something. With this knife, with this pill-shaped hole, a little bit smooth and stuff, but also the top of the hole runs you right into this part of the handle. So if you just go up, you hit the scale and you lose all your momentum. So what you have to do instead is like start at the middle or bottom of the hole and go sideways, which works. Once you get the hang of it, it works. But if you're like me and your natural impulse with holes is to go up, it does take a little bit of getting used to, so not terrible. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned this yet, but the sounds that this knife makes are really, really nice. I hope the camera picks up these tings. I know in the cutting footage the ting got picked up a couple of times, but I'm gonna shut up. You either get this very nice, crisp snap, or you get this beautiful little ting. There was kind of a little bit, but yeah, it's very nice sounding knife. So go ahead and put that in the like it. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty much all my dislikes as well. Let's talk about the price. So this knife here runs you. Let me grab my notes. About $45. So, you know, I used to complain a little bit that, you know, I didn't really see the point of Sencut since it wasn't that much cheaper than a Civivi. But honestly, I think Civivi recently has been kind of letting us know that they're committing to not making any knives under $50. Heck, under $55. So even though that's not a huge difference, it is still cheaper than a Civivi, so I guess Sencut is starting to have its place. You know, Civivi is still making knives like the Praxis that are coming in cheaper than this at $42, but I think that moving on, we're not going to see any knives in the sub $50 category from Civivi. At least not very often. You look at some of their more recent releases, they've all been above $50. Even like the Riffle is $55. So I guess Sencut is kind of coming into its own. Kind of a shame that Civivi's getting more expensive, but you know, what have you. I guess everything's getting more expensive these days. But yeah, so the price, do I think it's good? Yeah, I do think it's a good price. You know, I think Sencut is kind of trying to compete with companies like CJRB. I will say I do think CJRB is doing a little bit better because CJRB has some pretty fantastic models that come in under the $40 line, but Sencut is definitely competing with them. It's good. What do I think of this knife? I like it a lot. And that might sound kind of surprising because this is kind of a weird review where I didn't have a whole lot of likes and I didn't have a whole lot of dislikes. And in fact, while I was getting my thoughts together for this review, I kept thinking to myself, is that it? Is that it? And so I kept carrying it, seeing if I could come up with anything else, and no. At the end of the day, this is a very simple knife. Very simple knife. And that's not a bad thing. It's good. It does simple good. And if this works in your hand, like for me, when you're just doing light EDC cutting, if you're just taking this out to open a package, cut a string, maybe cut an apple, the ergos really don't bother you, but I would not recommend this for breaking down cardboard. However, with a sub 3-inch blade, I don't really think it's meant for that. So can I recommend this knife? Yes. Yes, I can. And, the build quality is good, price is good, performance is good. This is really weird to say, but I've been enjoying Sencut a lot more than Civivi lately, which is weird because they're basically the same thing, but I don't know, I have been enjoying Sencut quite a bit. If you don't like black coatings, you're not going to like this. I do wish they came with some uncoated versions, but I think like I said earlier, I think all of the versions they have look good at least. So I'm not going to count that too much against them. So, would it be a good call of judgment to buy one of these? Yeah, I think it would actually. This is not a bad knife. It's really not. I enjoy it. Do wish there's jimping up here. I guess that's one negative I could talk about, but again, I don't really see this knife being the type of knife where I would really want jimping, so it's not, or need jimping. I always want jimping. I'm a jimping nut, but I don't think I really need it, so yeah, that's all right. The plunge grind is decent. Actually, it's pretty good. As you can see, I did sharpen this guy. Wearing my edge. Focus. My camera hates things that are reflective. Focus. Just really, really hates reflective things. In fact, I don't even know if the camera's gonna pick that up. Anyways, very good knife. Usable, easy to carry. I can recommend it. What are the biggest flaws? To me, the biggest flaws are the ergonomic issues and the hitting your thumb up here. But both of those can be overcome. Just train yourself to flick differently. If you like this knife that much, you will adapt to it. With the ergos, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just find that sweet spot. And if you use this knife every day for months, you will get used to it. And so, yeah, I can recommend this knife 100%. And we're going to cut the video there before I ramble too much longer. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. I know that 77% of you watching my channel aren't subscribed, so go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to be doing a giveaway at 500, so, keep that in mind. I'm bribing you guys. Anyways, I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one.